Zoom today. So I've got on my computer.
Hey!
All right, let's do this. Welcome to the GYLA Podcast, where our purpose is to spread valuable information and wisdom around conscious cannabis use recreationally, medicinally, and spiritually.
And to create meaningful experiences.
So that we have a healthy connection with ourselves and our environments.
And with that, create a shift in perspective into universal consciousness and love.
This podcast is intended for an audience of 21 and up and for entertainment purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the topics discussed.
Welcome, yogis and yoginis. Marisa Anita Reyes Saldana,
Tia Marie Brown,
and Rosalina Lourdes Rosales.
And we are
so ready to love it and light it up. Right?
This is the very first time we are having our podcast on Zoom. And it's a whole new world for us. Because last night was the second time we did our ganja yoga. I'm calling it our hashtag virtual ritual, also on Zoom. And what this whole COVID-19 thing is doing is it's getting me to step out of, and I'm sure for a lot of us, step out of our comfort zone and work in a realm that's virtually, it's new. It's so new. And my biggest fear was, is the magic still going to be able to come through? And it does. It comes through 100%. So
I agree. Yeah.
I'd love to open up this space. I'd love to give everyone an idea of what today's podcast is going to look like. So I'd love to open up a space where we can kind of just share what comes up for us during these Wednesday night rituals. And then we're going to dive into our book, Cannabis and Spirituality, which we've been reading and loving on. And really the theme has been talking about manifesting presence. And we even look at working with Santa Maria, aka cannabis, and ayahuasca, where they talk about respect and discipline. And then we're going to conclude it with the chapter called Thoughts on Pots. This is a great title for a chapter.
Thoughts on Pots. Yay.
All in.
We're going to weave in a song that Tia Marie herself has created. It's a prayer song that she created for Michael, and maybe I'll let you share a little bit more on what this project is, and then we'll play the song later. So excited.
You want me to do that now?
Yes!
Oh, okay. All right. I'm ready.
I'm ready for that.
So, me and Jesse have been working, we have Sing for the Earth. So it's a way where we invite people to come out with us and sing and pray to the earth with improv songs. And now it's medicine songs, and it's working, using our voice as medicine. And so the goal a couple weeks ago was to go out on the beach and offer these songs to people who was walking by. If you need a prayer, if you need something to pray about, or you just want to hear a song, we'll sing it for you. We'll make it up right then and there, and we'll sing it. And so once this quarantine happened, I was like, oh, darn, we're not going to be able to do that. Then I was like, wait, they have the internet. Oh, I could just say, and if anybody wants a song, message me and I will pray for you through song. And I told Marisa about it, and she was like, well, Mika is not feeling really well right now. was like, I'll sing him a song. She's like, that's going to be our first request. Our first request is that song from you. I was like, okay. So me and Jesse got right on it. And it was the most fun project ever. It was frustrating at first because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt like a lot of pressure. And then I felt silly. But then it all came together, and I understood what it was that we were doing. And I was like, yeah, this is it. This is magic right here. So now we have a few prayer requests from other people who are wanting prayer songs that we're making up on the fly. Sometimes they take a little longer because it's really deep work. And so we're giving extended times, but our goal is to have it completed in one day and then spend the week editing it and letting Jesse do his mixing. And it came out so fun. And this one isn't even mixed. It's not even mastered. It's just, we got onto it and we sang it, and that was it.
I kind of feel like since we're already talking about it, and you already did a beautiful intro for it, can we listen to it?
Yes, and yes.
Please.
Yeah, something I was sharing with Tia right before we jumped on is that this song that she created, it's called Jaguar. And I realized that this song is, yes, it was intended for Mikhail, for his health, so that he can get better. And I realized it's an incredible song for our world and what it is that we're going through right now. And if I can just like touch upon the lyrics, because they're so beautiful, you know, you mentioned about, you know, you've given so much, we've given so much of you, and it's time to take a break and to receive all the feelings, just all the feelings. And, you know, you want to move like you usually do, right? Like we're so used to being on the go. And now it's time for rest, Jaguar. It's time for rest. So, yeah.
You need both, yeah.
And if you're watching us live on Instagram, I am going to go ahead and bust out my hula hoop and do a dance. And Rosalina may bust out a dance. Who knows?
Hey, the sun is out. I'm ready. It's a beautiful day. Why not, right?
Let's do it.
Marisa, do you want to play it on your screen since mine's acting silly?
Sure.
Yay.
Right. Fortunately, I have it open. I'm going to go ahead and share my audio. Computer sound only. Let's do this.
You have given so much of you. You have given so much of you. Now it's time to take a break and receive all feelings that you gave. And I know you wanna move like you usually do. Then now's the time for rest. plenty left. Jaguar, you know you're strong and you'll be cool again soon. Jaguar, don't forget Jaguar. Time and breathe, for you have plenty left. Jaguar, you know you're strong and you'll be cool again soon. Jaguar, Jaguar. Strong, and you'll be cool again soon. Jaguar, 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 you are the Jaguar.
Ah, so good. Okay.
Amazing. I'm dancing with the sun.
Yeah.
They were all on our screens just dancing.
It's beautiful. I have you guys on gallery view right now. So you see everybody, and I have it on live so everybody's seeing at the same time.
Nice.
Gorgeous.
But, I'd like to actually start. One of the things that we talk about a lot is creating a set and setting for our cannabis rituals. So I would like to start by lighting a candle. And, when we do this, our rituals, sometimes when we call them the directions, we use a song. So last night, the song that we used to call in the directions was the Abuelito Fuego song. And I thought maybe that could be the song that we share. So I'm kind of wanting to start off with this song. How's that?
Let's do it.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so Abuelito Fuego. grandfather fire, and then it's Madrecita Tierra for earth, Madrecita Viento, Father Wind, Father Air, and then Madrecita Agua for Mother Water. And then we end with Ometeot. Ometeot is the god. If you're all welcome to sing along at home. If you have like an instrument, you're more than welcome to participate. Abuelito fuego, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Abuelito fuego, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Madrecita tierra, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Madrecita tierra, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Padrecito viento, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Padrecito viento, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Madrecita agua, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Madrecita agua, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Meteo, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Meteo, las gracias te damos, las gracias te damos. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Por abrir el corazón a la sanación, abrirlo de amor. Oh, Mateo.
Oh, Mateo.
Oh, Mateo. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so beautiful.
The moon dance, Oyentalawi Metzli, and the grandmother, who leads this dance, and even to Susana and Shimshai, because those chords are kind of that version of their version of Abuelito Fuego. Normally, Abuelito Fuego we sing on the drum. And then I heard them do it on guitar, and I was like, shoot, if they could do it on guitar, I could do it on ukulele. To all the musicians.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so maybe we could go ahead and jump into the book now. The Cannabis and Spirituality.
So this week we're reading chapters 13, 14, and 15. Is that right?
That's right. I think so.
We're almost done with the book.
Wow.
Alrighty. So I am currently changing setting. So give me a second. And that is complete. Alrighty.
While we're getting settled, it's actually a perfect tie-in to things around like presence and discipline. And one of the questions we're thinking about, also a question to ask for, or to ask ourselves, ask to anyone on Instagram, which is, what does presence mean to you? Right? And maybe we can put the question kind of on the forefront of our mind while we dive into this chapter.
What does presence mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
What does presence mean to you?
It was Rosalina who discussed, or who you're going to focus on chapter 13, right? In the interview.
Yes, I am. Alrighty. So for 13, it's titled Manifesting Presence. So this is an interview with 2 medicine shamans. One of them is Sean. His name is Sean, and then Steve. So Sean Hammond and Steve Dyer. So these are ceremonial leaders and shamans who Stephen interviewed. So this is a chapter on their interview. So I feel like what I really want to focus on is some of the same themes that kept coming up in this chapter, which were stillness and spaciousness. So Stephen interviews Sean and Steve, and I feel like a topic that is vital when working with plant medicine, Santa Maria, is to, well, first and foremost, is always know the set and setting, what you're coming in with, and knowing that this plant medicine will bring you to a space of stillness. And this is just, they talk about how it's really just entering this space where thoughts can either come to a pause, right? All these thought forms are released, and you are able to experience universal consciousness, really. So I like how they touched on that, and how vital it is to know what energy you're coming in with as well, because it will also influence the experience. So acknowledging that, stillness is a big part of the experience when you work with cannabis. So I thought that was very important, and which brings me, because I've been curious, this is something that keeps coming up for me, and I've thought about, like, what does stillness mean to me, right? So I'm curious to ask you, Tia and Marisa, when in your own practice, how does stillness look for you? What is that for you? So I was like, it's an interesting question for us to ask, I think, and share our point of view.
Yeah, totally. Are we starting now?
Yeah, whoever would like to share, how does stillness look for you?
For me, I did sadhana on the beach a couple weekends ago, and it was the best sadhana I've ever done. I was by myself, but there was a bunch of people around because it was the men's weekend fundraiser. So there was a bunch of people around, and people were at the beach. This was all before quarantine and all before COVID, anything. So I did the sadhana, and I heard people running and playing, and I was committed to completing my practice. It's a 2.5-hour practice, and I did it fully on the beach without being interrupted or feeling the need to get out of it. And it was the best practice I've ever had, because I literally had to stay committed, even though I wanted to open my eyes and see what other people were doing and see what other people were walking around or what they were talking about. And I sat there, and I was in it, and I realized this is stillness. Even the chaos around that's going on and all the activity, if you can maintain that inner balance, that inner stillness, you're golden. And I was just like, wow. And just being in there and just staying committed, it was the most amazing experience I've ever had.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Marisa?
Yes. Actually, so something that came up, I was starting to just ask the question of, like, how do I experience stillness? It was last week I did a Ganja yoga meditation with Javiera and Sebastian. They were on our Ganja yoga virtual ritual last night. They led a meditation that was absolutely incredible. And I didn't even smoke anything because I was taking a little fast. However, I fell so deep into a relaxation. And so for me, stillness is when I'm able to just not be so much in my mind, but be in that I call it the yoga nidra state. It's like you're not fully awake, but you're not fully asleep. It's that in between state where it's like our nervous system being able to like decompress.
Yes.
Yeah, decompression is for me stillness. And they go by Green Yoga. It's so, yeah, I definitely highly recommend checking them out. And it's just so fun to see how like the connections of the Ganja yoga teachers coming out. We can now connect virtually. So it's nice being able to work with cannabis and without cannabis to find that sense of stillness.
I like that. With and without. Yeah, it's powerful. Because my own practice, it's been like that, where it's just like with the plant medicine, right, with some cannabis, but also being able to know what stillness is without it. I think that's extremely important, actually. Yeah. So thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. One of the things that I've come to realize for me, it's quite kind of contradicting, but I've realized last night, speaking about Ganja yoga, our experience virtually, that for me, I come to a space of stillness in dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I'm dancing, I am completely, I feel like that's the space, that's when I'm able to enter that space. So it's interesting how I'm not physically being still, but I feel like when the movement itself, along with the breath, they synchronize completely, and that's where I find that stillness, when I'm able to fully connect all of it, right, in the body. The mind stops, quiets down, and it's just this amplification of breath and movement, and that's all it is. And yeah, so I thought that was a little interesting for me. So back to the book. And speaking of amplification, throughout the interview, they also point out the amplification of what is currently being experienced. So I thought that was very important to point out, because they talk about, that how when you work with the plant medicine, you receive the plant's energy, right? It's almost as if your energy it is, it's your energy and the plant's energy working together. And they talk about how, like, if, being mindful of how you're coming in, because there's the possibility of everything that is present with you and it can be amplified. And it's something to just be, I think, in my perspective, be mindful of, because at times people who are new, it might be, it can definitely bring up a sense of paranoia, or even, just maybe even fear. And knowing that, that in itself is part of the experience. And learning how to trust the medicine and knowing how to shift the energy, knowing that you can. I think it's important to keep that in mind. So for me, another question that I have, I would definitely like to know, Marisa and Tia, how yesterday was for you, this ganja experience, our second one. Was anything amplified last night?
Yes. Yes. There was definitely a moment of fear that was amplified, trying to figure out the technical stuff of Zoom and sound. And just like my concern was, is everyone, oh my God, like how is everyone experiencing this? And just definitely got into my head about it. And it was really helpful because one of the things I requested was to type in your intention in the chat box. And it was really nice to be able to come back to the intentions and like seeing it visually. Like, okay, this is the intention that this person, that person has shared, not just for themselves, but for the group, for the collective, for our world. So like, and one of them was like presence, coming back to presence. So it's cool to see the tie-in. What about you, Tia Marie?
Yes, Tia, what about you? Anything amplified?
My desire to smoke cannabis was amplified.
Oh, Tia.
I was like, I kept asking Jesse, I was like, please, just one hit? He's like, no. I was like, but so many women do it. I follow a group, they do it.
I follow a group. Hey, like, yeah, I mean.
That was severely amplified, and I realized I like cannabis, and this 9-month journey of not smoking is going to be interesting. I'm trying to convince baby daddy to let me smoke, but he won't. But it was really nice just surrendering. That was my intention, and surrendering to everything and just being in the moment. And I forgot. Since I found the news out, I haven't sat with myself in silence. And I had a chance to last night, and I was like, I miss this. Why don't you do this more, Tia? Why'd you stop? And I was like, yeah, because I'm focused now. I feel like I'm focused on the way of living you're supposed to. I'm worrying about finances, jobs, and life, and trying to figure out how this baby's going to fit into it. And I'm just like, you forgot how to live without that stuff. And it's like, you need to get back to there and know that everything is going to pan out fine. Like, whatever you need, ask for it and it'll come. And I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. And it's just balancing between, because when it's just me, like when it was just me and Jesse, I was focused on me. And I was like, yeah, I know the universe will provide me whatever I need. I know this. But with the baby, it's like, oh, now I have to provide the baby everything they need. And now I have to figure out this. And now I have to figure out that. And it was just a lot of heaviness. And last night when I was able to just sit in it, I was like, it can be the same with this or without it too. It doesn't have to be that heavy.
I like that. It doesn't have to be that heavy. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Thank you both. Wait, Marisa? Yes, you did. You mentioned it already. Thank you. That's so heartwarming. Thank you. So just briefly to kind of wrap it up on my end, I just want to point out another important, I think it was pretty interesting how during the interview, another thing that came up was like the energy of the plant medicine coming back to energy. I thought it was interesting how they were mentioning the importance of knowing where you get your plant medicine from, where you get your cannabis, because it's definitely something to keep in mind, that it's something that's entering your body, and you want to keep your body healthy. You want to care for your body ultimately, and also honor and respect the plant and the growers. So it talks about how the energy of the grower is really what goes into the plant as well. So I thought that that was very interesting to be mindful of, because it's true, you know, we're working with energy, and wherever it is that you get your cannabis from, hopefully from a good source that you trust and sun grown, it's, you know that that energy is, you know, it's an energy that's, you know, intended to really be a good one. Ultimately, I think, you know, if someone's growing their cannabis lovingly, then you will feel that energy. So I thought that was awesome. So yeah, let's just be mindful of the source, right? And trust as well the source that we are getting it from.
Do you know what I just did?
Yeah.
On the new moon, I just planted 3.
I was thinking, oh, we're gonna say that. Yes.
I sure do hope they grow. I've been out in the sun. I've been speaking to them every day and talking to them and singing to them. So
there you go. Look at that. Yeah. So growing them lovingly. Yeah. So much love and care. You know, they're entity, they're an energy, they're alive just as much as we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have something growing too. I have a baby growing too.
Yo, I had a dream last night, or as I was falling asleep, that I took a seed and I ingested it in my body, and then the seed was telling me how to grow it. And I was so confused, because I was like, is this the baby? Or is this the seed I just ate? Because it was a plant, and I couldn't figure out. Like, I was in between dream world and sleep world, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm growing a seed. It was interesting.
And by the way, I'm just going to add that Tia Maria does incredible dream work circles.
She does. She's great.
Yeah, if anyone ever needs support with wanting to kind of understand a little bit deeper, you can find her on Instagram.
Yes, thank you.
Well, you know, and something that you were sharing, Tia, earlier about, you know, being pregnant and not really sure, like wanting to smoke, but then at the same time, you know, not your baby daddy not wanting you to smoke. It kind of touched on this chapter, Santa Maria and ayahuasca. You know, they talk about how the dualities, right? And there's going to be someone who's always pro and someone who's always, you know, against it. And not to say that one way is right and one way is wrong. And it's always like tuning into your inner guidance and like, what is it that feels best for you? Still doing research and figuring out, you know, like, okay. But they talked about how, like, on one hand, you have a more purist or orthodox segment that believes that the use of another sacramental plant, such as Santa Maria or cannabis, deviates from the core initial formats created by the original leaders and shamans for the ayahuasca ceremonies. So we've mentioned the ayahuasca before. This is another plant medicine from the Amazon that's known as like the grandmother of all medicines, because she has a way of really showing us lessons and in a way that maybe we aren't able to see them on an everyday basis. So, you know, there's different schools of thoughts around working with ayahuasca and incorporating cannabis. Some people say, no, you shouldn't do it. Other people say, yes, it's a beautiful combination. So it's the same thing with pregnancy, right? Some people are like, no, you shouldn't do it. And some mamas are like, yes, it actually helps support me through this process. So one of the big takeaways that I got from this chapter was 2 key terms to keep in mind. And those 2 key terms are respect and discipline. So, you know, respect refers to the context in which one is using the cannabis or working with the cannabis. So, you know, if you were to apply this to your situation, Tia, if you're going in with the intention of, you know, being like, I want this to still be a self-love ceremony, you know, then there could be some really beautiful things that come out of it. And it's like the difference between a drug and a medicine, right? Preston Lopez, a dear friend of ours, did a talk on cannabis as a psychedelic, like the psychedelic's the greatest secret, right? And basically, when we work with cannabis, it has this ability to just like blow us open. And so going in with the intention of what it is that you want to amplify. And the other key term being discipline. And when they talk about discipline, they're referring to like frequency of use. So, there's some schools of thought that say, you should do fasting. It's good to take a break. And that's kind of what feels best for my body. And then there's other schools of thought that say, I like to use it on a daily basis. It helps me with maybe there's like a medical condition that I'm in need of support of. So it's just like, again, checking in, seeing what feels good for you. And this author talks about how he puts himself in that category of just being less frequent with it. And it's interesting because I'm going to be going on an interview with Dee Dussault on her Instagram Live talking about cannabis and cacao, because I love those two combinations. And something I'm going to be talking about is microdosing, because I think that when we work with it in smaller doses, we're able to kind of still function throughout the day and take all the creativity that's coming through and ground it, right? So if it means having our journal and getting really clear about implementing our tools so that we can bring all of these ideas and these creations into fruition. So that's just my own personal take on why I prefer microdosing, actually. And one of the main topics of this is like balance is key. It's key. It's really about balance, respect, and discipline for the use. And that's what the yoga practice is. It's a discipline and like showing up and just being aware of our posture and of our breath. So, yeah. That's it for my chapter. I mean, there's so much. I highly recommend like actually reading this book because there's so much depth to this that
it's so much. Jesse wants to start reading it.
I agree.
Every time he smokes, I'm like, you should read this book. You need to read this book and develop a relationship with cannabis. I think it'll change your mind. There's so much depth.
Yeah. So would you like to give us some thoughts on pot?
Thoughts on pot too?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on pot, Miss Tia?
Well, you said thoughts on pot. I thought it would be a fun way to do this chapter by reading a quote from it and seeing what you guys think about it, because it is thoughts on pot. So what are your thoughts on pot?
I would love to share my thoughts on pot.
Chapter 15 starts on page 192, and it's called Thoughts on Pot Part 2, Lessons from the Leaf by Jeremy Wolfe. It's part 2 because he did a part 1 in a book called The Pot Book, edited by Julie Holland. And so he speaks about his insightfulness with the psychedelic community and what thoughts happen when he's smoking, and the idea of the plant, the world, everything is just a reflection of us and what we feel and who we are. And I found this chapter lovely because I strongly believe in that, and I've been preaching that for a very long time with, like, however you judge somebody else, you're really judging yourself. I do that with my photography. I'm like, do you see the beauty in this photography? And if somebody says, yeah, I love the color, I said, because that exists within you. It's a reflection of yourself. If you're able to see it, then it exists within yourself. And so he speaks about this in this chapter, and I thought it was beautiful. And then at the fire ceremony, the new moon fire ceremony we had a couple days ago with Giselle, I shared my Lucid Mind song, and with the lyrics go, it may seem as if the world is against you. It may seem as if your dreams won't come true. The world is just a reflection of yourself. What you see is what you get in this life that you possess, and you can change your mind. You have the time. So I thought that was nice, because on page 193, he states here that the mind works by projection and reflection. In the mind, homeostasis is allowing reflection, bringing consciousness to the process. Knowing the mirror is understanding the technology. What you perceive in another is what you believe about yourself. Fear is projection, but so is beauty. All the beauty you can perceive in the world is also in you. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. Yeah. I feel like with a lot of the changes that have been happening to me on a personal level, and also with everything else that's happening outside, yeah, I feel like coming into stillness and really understanding what's inside, and knowing that, the way I view things is really how it's inside, so I do my best to be very aware of that. And if I'm able to bring consciousness to it and understand and be compassionate towards myself, and be able to shift that, because I know that what I want to project, I know that what I want to be present with and how I want to show up in the world is with joy, with love and care. Although, sometimes I just might not, and that's okay too. So knowing that we have the freedom, the choice, the capacity to go out into the world and be able to be present with a beautiful energy. Like right now, I'm full of joy, and I feel like that's what I see all over, So thank you.
It's so funny you mentioned that. When I started dating Jesse, me and both of them were like, don't you see the brighter colors, or everything looks so much brighter.
Yeah. So thank you for asking.
You're welcome. Did you have anything to share, Marisa?
It resonates beautifully. Yeah, I definitely, the reminder of us being mirrors is also just like that reminder of choice is powerful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So another thing he mentions here is that nomadic cultures revered pot as a tool for change, an unsettler. So if you need to see something more clearly, or you want to change something and have a different mindset or perspective on it, using pot, the nomadic cultures knew its power and knew what it could do. And if we are able to do that with our own, we'll be able to change the world. What's going on right now? Things are changing. And one of the questions I've been asking for ever since, I think it was last week when it all started, is we can't go back to how we lived before the quarantine. We're not going to go back. So what does that mean? What is the world going to look like after this? I think this is the longest time I haven't used my debit card. And I'm like, I think I had maybe not an addiction to shopping, but I love shopping, and it would make me feel a certain way. And because there's no access to shopping right now, it's like I got to fill that void with something else. And that's reading a book or meditating or doing something else. And it's like, the world is about to change. The world is going through a significant change. And it's incredible to witness it and be on that side where we knew this was coming for the longest time. Like, this generation and maybe a few before had a feeling that something big was coming. And I think this is it. And it's going to be that shift of perspective from the masculine mindset to a more balanced mindset where it's masculine and feminine, where we're not shamed, or as women and as men in general, and as anybody. We're going to be able to start living with compassion, and this is a way to do it. So he also mentions in this chapter that, I'm trying to find it. Hold on, guys. It's funny that this chapter came up in this week, because he mentions that, here it is. Our problems are not, on page 199 at the bottom, our problems are not failures to be escaped, but are the locus of our survival. Every one of your ancestors lived to reproduce. Everyone else died out. Shadows and scars are traces of the struggle we succeeded at. Unconscious drives are our strength. Awareness of our consciousness is our power. Your fears are sacred, a signal of where to find thwarted love. And the valley of the shadow of death is only unity and ineffability. Approach your holy fears with reverence, and you will find in them a reflection of love. You are strongest where you are most hurt. Isn't that?
Wow.
Exactly.
Hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I find in these natural disasters that people call disasters, I don't think it's disasters. I think it's evolution. I think it's what happens when we're moving into a new mindset, a new state of being. Those who aren't able to do that are not, I don't want to say wiped out, but they no longer can proceed. They've done their work. They're done. And it's our job to continue and make it go forward and allow this new thought process. So when we had those horrible hurricanes and floods and tornadoes, and now we have a virus, it's like, this is evolution. This is how we become better. And we thank the people who are here and lost their lives. We thank them for their presence, showing us and giving us room to improve ourselves. We thank them. How do you guys feel about that?
Absolutely beautifully said, Tia. And it kind of reminds me of an article that someone shared, even though everything that was shared at New Moon, at our virtual fire circle, is confidential. There's an article she shared that was called This Could Be Our Finest Hour. And this was like a response to, I think it was the Apollo 13. But it touches on, like, we get to choose, right, how we want to continue living forward. So thank you for that. So I would love to complete with a magical moment that we experienced last night. And it all ties in with, like, the presence. And yesterday morning, Mikhail was sitting in our living room where we have this window and we have the beautiful trees and the hummingbirds, and we're on the second story. And all of a sudden he saw a dog chasing this cat, and it got chased all the way up to the tree, to the point where Michael saw the cat, like, face to face, and they made eye contact. And I was like, what color was the cat? And he was like, it was an orange cat. And I was like, oh, poor kitty cat. And so I was like, what message does this cat have for you? This was literally the question I asked him, after he told me this story. He was like, I don't know, to climb a tree? Because he loves to climb trees. And then during our Ganja Yoga virtual ritual, we picked a card, and the card we picked happened to be an orange cat. And the message of cat spirit is to claim your independence. So I'd love to complete our podcast with the message of cat spirit. When cat spirit meows, she's calling you to claim your independence and allow for some space between you and others in your life. The only way you can grow in all your relationships now is to have a healthy sense of self-respect and self-worth. When you walk with dignity, knowing who you are, self-aware and willing to grow, trusting the value you bring, the world will mirror all this back to you in kind. When you say no to codependency and enmeshment, live and let live, and practice taking risks as you wander into new territory for you. Kat is here to urge you to let your independent spirit roam free. That's a message from the kitty cat.
Ashe.
Meow,
So definitely independently at our homes. Yes.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you all for listening and tuning in, and would love to invite you to our Ganja Yoga virtual ritual every Wednesday night from 7 to 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I'm thinking of even doing like a Sunday. I don't know if it's going to be monthly or if it's going to be weekly, but I like the idea of having something earlier so people who are on the East Coast or even central of the U.S. are able to join. So you're welcome to follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, ganjayoga.la. You can find us on Facebook. And is there anything else that we want to announce?
Sing for the Earth Sunday. We're going Zoom again. So everybody's welcome to join, of course. We're doing it at 5:30. So
5:30 on Sunday?
Yeah, 5:30 on Sunday. I'll post it for everybody. I would like your permission, Marisa, to sing the song you sang yesterday. Mira, que viene interpretando.
Yeah, we can close with that.
Cool.
This is a song for, I think of the serpent. Mira que viene, look who's coming, look who's coming. It's a serpent energy. And the song is about opening our heart and opening our mind so that the healing, the cleansing can come in. So the song is for our world, for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for our friends, for everyone. I'm going to do this a cappella with just snapping. Mira que viene va llegando. Mira que viene despertando. Mira que viene va llegando. Mira que viene despertando. Te lleva y te trae a la inmensidad. Te lleva hasta la verdad. Te lleva y te trae a la inmensidad. Te lleva hasta la verdad. Abre tu mente, abre tu corazón, ábrete, recibes esta sanación. Abre tu mente, abre tu corazón, ábrete, recibes esta sanación. Te lleva y te trae a la inmensidad. Te lleva hasta la verdad. Te lleva y te trae a la inmensidad. Te lleva hasta la verdad. You know, the beauty of the song, it's
Thank you.
taking it to the immensity, right? I feel like it summarizes the immensity that's happening in the world right now. So knowing that we're going to be carried through this situation and that everything is going to be okay.
That's right. Okay.
Love for all.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you so much, sisters. This is a great effing way to start my day.
Yeah.
Love to all. Peace to all. Satnam.
Satnam.
Thank you for tuning in to our Ganja Yoga LA podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any feedback, please submit it to us at ganjayoga.la@gmail.com. We would love to hear your opinion, any topic suggestions, and also whether or not you enjoyed the show. So thank you for your responses. We really appreciate it, and we are so excited to keep the conversation flowing with you. So let's love and light it up.